your ego, your insecurities. You're sick and tired of being in my shadow.
Welcome to Bold and the Beautiful 65 Spoilers. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and comment for more videos like this one.
About how you wanted your company to succeed. Look what you've done. You practically ran Eric into the ground. We gave him the respect you
gave him nothing!
The fallout from Eric's health crisis is about to explode into something deeply personal, and if spoilers and previews are any indication, the next emotional battlefield isn't the hospital, it's between the Logan sisters themselves. And wow, this one feels raw. Tension is already thick in the air when Brooke Logan arrives, shaken and terrified after learning about Eric's condition. But instead of collapsing into grief, her fear quickly transforms into anger the moment she sees Katie Logan standing nearby. Spoiler suggests Brooke doesn't even greet her, she launches. She demands to know how Katie could let Eric work himself into the ground. Her voice rises immediately, trembling with fury, accusing Katie of pushing him too hard and placing the success of her new fashion house above his health. Katie tries to respond, but Brooke barely allows it. Every attempt Katie makes to speak is cut off mid-sentence. I predict this scene will feel less like a conversation and more like an emotional ambush. Brooke's fear for Eric morphs into blame, and she insists the stress of designing again is what triggered the crisis. She accuses Katie of using him like a workhorse, saying he should have been resting instead of carrying the weight of an entire new fashion venture. Katie finally pushes back, her voice shaking but firm. She reminds Brooke that Eric wanted to work, that designing gives him purpose, identity, and joy. She argues that Eric felt discarded when Brooke and Ridge forced retirement on him, and that Katie simply gave him the opportunity to feel alive again. That only pours gasoline on the fire. Brooke's anger shifts from protective to deeply personal. She accuses Katie of jealousy, of always living in her shadow and needing something of her own to feel important. She suggests the fashion house wasn't about business at all, but about proving she could step out from behind Brooke's legacy. And that accusation cuts deep. Katie looks stunned, hurt, but refuses to back down. She says this was never about competing with her sister. It was about building something meaningful and giving Eric a place where his talent was respected instead of shelved. But Brooke is beyond reason. Spoilers hint she's pacing, gesturing wildly, voice shaking with rage as she insists Katie exploited Eric's pride and passion knowing he wouldn't say no. She claims Katie pushed him to prove something, and the stress nearly killed him. At one point, Brooke is described as practically spitting her words, consumed by fear, guilt, and grief, emotions she cannot process, so she redirects them outward. And here's the tragic core of the scene: this isn't just about Eric. This is decades of sibling rivalry, resentment, and buried insecurities bubbling to the surface at the worst possible moment. Katie, visibly shaken, tries one last time to ground the argument in truth. Eric made his own choice. He fought to keep designing. He refused to be sidelined. She didn't force him, she believed in him. But Brooke isn't ready to hear that. I speculate this confrontation won't resolve anything. Instead, it may fracture the sisters further at a time when the family should be united. And in classic soap fashion, both women believe they are protecting Eric. Both believe they are right. And both are speaking from fear, not facts. The question now is whether this fight becomes a temporary explosion, or the beginning of a Logan civil war. Do you think Brooke is lashing out from grief and guilt? Or did Katie push Eric too far trying to prove her fashion house could succeed? Because once words like these are spoken between sisters, they don't fade easily. The confrontation is already boiling over when the doors swing open again. And suddenly this intensely personal sister showdown turns into a full-blown battlefield. Eric Forrester strides in first, clearly having heard raised voices from down the corridor. He takes one look at Brooke, flushed and shaking with anger, and immediately moves to her side. His protective instincts kick in without hesitation, his jaw tightening as he demands to know what's going on. Katie barely has time to respond before Bill appears behind her, drawn by the same commotion. His expression darkens as he senses the hostility aimed squarely at Katie. Without even asking for details, he positions himself beside her, his presence firm and unmistakably defensive. And just like that, it's no longer a sister argument. It's a two-on-two standoff. Brooke immediately tells Ridge that Katie pushed Eric too hard and caused his collapse. Ridge's face hardens, the anger he's been carrying about his father working for a rival house rushing back to the surface. He demands answers from Katie, his voice sharp, accusing her of putting ambition ahead of Eric's health. Katie tries to explain again that Eric insisted on designing, that he needed it, that it gave him purpose, but Ridge isn't hearing nuance. He hears danger. He hears betrayal. He hears his father nearly dying. Bill cuts in before Katie can be steamrolled. He tells Ridge to back off and stop rewriting history. Eric made his own choices. No one forced him into anything. Bill insists Eric wanted to prove he still had brilliance left, and Katie gave him that chance. Now the volume rises. Brooke accuses Bill of pushing deadlines and pressure. Bill fires back that Brooke and Ridge were the ones who made Eric feel obsolete. Ridge snaps that Eric was supposed to be resting, not competing. Bill counters that Eric was never meant to be shelved like furniture. Voices overlap. No one listens. Everyone speaks louder. I predict this moment will feel chaotic. The kind where every sentence is cut off by another, emotions stacking on top of each other until no one even remembers who started what.